I would give my life for my daughter. I'd do anything to protect her and love her. And I think about my all-encompassing love for my daughter, and it's not a patch on the love God has for his children, which is all of us, even the ones who don't know him yet. He has an encompassing, raging, I will die for you, and he did. And then I think about what I would do for her, and I know if I would do that for her, and if I believe God is who he says he is, then I believe God would do that and more for me.
Welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Couchman, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. I am so excited to be diving into the Word of God together today. Let's jump into the conversation. I am so excited to have the one and only Lucy Holmes back on the podcast with me.
Thank you so much.
Luce,
I'd love
so
to
nice.
Be that with the one and only
You
Lucy
are
Holmes.
the one and
I
only
love
Lucy
that.
Holmes. Is there another Lucy Holmes?
Do you know what? There is, and she lives in Melbourne, and we connected once, and she lives down the Mornington Peninsula.
Does she? What's her? Do you know her career?
She's not a performer, but she's from the UK as well, and immigrated when she was a girl. And I think she once called into my radio show, like we're talking like 15 years ago, and we had so much in common, and we stayed in touch on socials. And so occasionally I'll get a message from Lucy Holmes, and I'll message my friend Lucy Holmes. It's so silly.
I love it.
So funny.
Did you grow? Were you not born in Australia?
No, I was born in the UK.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew that your parents were, but I didn't realise that you grew up in the UK.
No, mum and dad obviously are British, and then my brother was born, then my sister was born, and then I was born, and I was born in Leeds in Yorkshire, so we're Northerners, which is my mum's accent, and all my family's over there, my aunties, my uncles, all my cousins, everyone is over there.
Wow.
And then mum and dad decided to immigrate over to Sydney, which we were only in Sydney for a bit, and then we went to Brisbane, and I grew up in Brisbane. Really? So I was
how
little,
old were you?
2 or 3. Yeah,
wow.
little. But my sister and brother were 10 years older than me. So I don't have memories of the UK. My brother and sister do. But I have been back many times with my mum when I was little to go see grandparents and mum's sister and dad's brother. And we've got a very small family. I can count my whole family on like 1-2 hands. I have the tiniest family. But they're all in the UK. Well, we're still really close. We all keep in contact on socials, which is great. But I went back a couple of years ago. I was filming a TV show on the BBC, and I went back and I decided to have 2 weeks in the UK by myself and go around and visit all my family that I'd not seen since I was a little girl. So I went and stayed with all my cousins and my aunties and uncles, and seeing my auntie Liz looks exactly like my mum, and it was like meeting my mum, and to see them in the flesh was just wild. And then to speak to a cousin, and the cousin had the exact sense of humour. We're finishing each other's sentences. And then to go to the little town where I was born, then to go to a pub with my cousin Michael, and then just be in this pub and everyone felt like me. It was the strangest thing.
Really?
I felt at home, and I felt like, oh, I know who I am now.
Wow.
I didn't know. I don't feel Australian, and I don't feel English. I don't feel either. But when I went back to the UK, I was like, oh, this makes sense. I think I know a bit more of who I am. And I came back knowing more of who I was, and I loved that.
That is so cool.
Crazy, hey?
I didn't realise. I genuinely didn't know that you were born over in the UK.
The pale skin gives it away.
You know,
and the love of tea.
The love of tea. And that's why I love you, Yorkshire. Your
Yorkshire
jam.
tea, Yorkshire tea, love. Yeah.
Well, you know the jam tea that you and I both love. What is it called again? Jam on toast.
Yeah.
I can't find it anywhere.
It's been discontinued. Did you not hear?
No.
I spoke about it on my radio show. Yorkshire Tea contacted me. They contacted me from head office, and they said, we have heard you've been speaking about this jam and toast tea.
Wait, why have they got rid of it?
They've discontinued it in Australia. I believe you can still get it in the UK. And I was like, I said to them by email, I said, I'm very sad about this. And they said, we're going to send you a box of tea as a gift. And I said, will it have any of the jam and toast? And they're like, no. And I was like, And they sent me a beautiful gift pack, I will say, which was full of merchandise and socks with Yorkshire tea on it. And they sent me so much tea. I've got tea up the wazoo, but no jam and toast tea. And I have one sachet left in the cupboard, and I can't bring myself to drink it because I'm so sad.
You know what's so funny about it? Because when I was in year 12, I started working at T2. So I'm a massive tea girl. And there was a tea at T2 called Raspberry Rush. And it was the exact same tea. But that got discontinued. And so then for years, I've been waiting for another version of it. So then when you told me about the jam on toast, I was like, this is like Raspberry Rush. Yeah. Now it's discontinued.
My sister works quite high up in T2 now, and I keep meaning to sit her down and say, look, God has called you for a time such as this to bring back some sort of raspberry jam tea for me and Ash. If you are at the head of T2, you should be able to make that happen, surely.
I think we've got the connections. We'll make it happen. It's a matter of life and death at this point.
It's my favourite tea. It's very sad.
Let's jump into today's words to live by, Luce.
It is my absolute favourite verse of all time, and it's that old chestnut when anyone says, what's your favourite verse? I'm like, this is it. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
I love this verse
It's the best
too.
verse. I think it's the best verse.
I remember growing up. Do you remember the Bethany Hamilton movie? Did
Yes,
you watch it when it came
Shark
out?
movie.
Yeah, because that was like her verse, right?
Yeah,
that she resonated with. So my whole teens childhood, this verse was my go-to.
Yeah.
But I agree, because it is such a great promise for us to hold on to.
Yeah.
It makes you feel secure.
Yeah.
I think that's why
Totally.
I love it.
Yeah, there's a comfort.
Is it kind of makes you feel like you've got your gumboots on and you've just stepped in some concrete and it's hardened over and you know that it's solid. Like you know that it's not going anywhere, that your life is secure when you know God.
Yeah.
And it's so comforting to me.
Yeah, I love this verse, especially as a planner. I love to have things mapped out. I like to think I'm a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year planner. My husband is not. He's not a one-day planner, and that's a funny little juxtaposition between both of us, because I like to know, and when I don't know, I get very frustrated.
Yeah.
I like things being planned. And so when things don't follow how I think they should go, again, it throws me. I'm like, what do you mean? This is how it was meant to play out. And when things like just blow up your life, I'm like, this wasn't my plan. And obviously my plan was God's plan. Like you think, come on.
Totally.
Which is ridiculous, because often your plans are not God's plans. Yeah. And so I struggle when things fall apart. I know that when I went through a marriage breakdown and all that upheaval and family court for years, which just is soul destroying, I was like, where is God in this mess? Where is God in this? Is not my plan. And then, of course, battling with them. Surely this wasn't God's plan either. I'm not an idiot. No one gets married to get divorced. And I couldn't understand what that meant for me, for my faith, for my theology, for verses like this. And I don't know if it was probably my pastor at the time, a lady called Vicky, who is the most faithful woman of God. Even when things in her life have blown up beyond anything, she will never doubt the love of God in her life, which has been so life-changing for me to witness her life. I believe she said to me, or someone in authority who I loved me, said, God doesn't have a plan A and then a plan B for your life. He has a plan A and then he's got another plan A. And he's also got another plan A. And look, I don't know if that's theological, but that gave me so much comfort at the time. And I guess it is, because this verse is saying that I know the plans I have, and they're plans to prosper you. So when my life didn't go to plan, I was very scared that there would be no blessing on my life, that God would leave me, that I'd be in the wilderness and rejected by God. And I really struggled with that. And I was very lucky to have incredible people around me like Vicky, reminding me that God is with you in this season, and he can turn something beautiful out of this brokenness as long as you keep walking alongside him. Trust him in this. He's got a plan for you. And that's why I think this verse has been my anchor for the last, 7 or 8 years is when it all happened. I had to keep going. This wasn't the plan. But God can turn anything. He can work all things together for good. He can make this good. He can make something beautiful out of my brokenness. I will be okay. My daughter will be okay. We will be okay. I had to just keep telling myself that, because I was very hard on myself, really, really hard on myself. So I needed to anchor myself in this verse. And so that's why I think it's my favorite one. And even when now, to this day, when things don't go to plan, I'm still like, God's got a beautiful plan. And it may not look like, in fact, it probably doesn't often look like what you think it's going to look like.
Very rarely, I think.
It just doesn't, because we don't see the big picture. And we think we need this for something to be perfect. God can see 5-10 years down the track and he's like, I'm just going to move some pieces and you may not like it, but trust me, because something brilliant is going to come out of this.
Yeah. And I think, I know for me growing up in church, I probably understood this verse in a bad way, whereas in the sense that I would go, well, nothing bad can happen to you because God's plans are to prosper you and not to harm you. I think and you know, I think I kind of experienced that at moments, but obviously, you know, you step into adulthood and you realize that's not the case at all, or you know, things happen in your teen years that aren't a fun time, and I think I realized quickly, and it kind of comes back to that idea of, you know, God does turn all things for good.
Yeah.
The hard things aren't there to destroy you. They're there, even though it doesn't make sense at the time, they do, in a sense, build us into the people that we need to become.
Yeah.
And, you know, not that I would ever wish anything difficult upon anyone.
Yeah.
But I know in my life, I have grown into the person that I need to become. I have grown in my faith in the hardest moments of my life. Like, I think back to when my mum was sick when I was in high school. I have never been so angry with God in my life.
Yeah.
I've probably also never felt more confused by God in my life.
Yeah.
But I also don't think I've ever been closer or like had more fruit come out of a season than in that horrific time.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was like, you know, reading a Bible verse and being like, oh, wow, I completely believe this right now. But you do get to a point sometimes where you're like, if I don't trust God, there is nothing else.
What do I do?
So if I'm not going to trust God, well, then
what's the point?
There's nothing else to go to.
Yeah.
And so I think when I hear this now as an adult and having gone through some things now, it's kind of like God's plans, they are to prosper you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there's not going to be hardship in it. But his plans are not to harm you and break you and destroy you.
Yeah.
They're to help you get to where
Yeah.
we need to be.
Yeah. Trust the process.
Yeah.
I could read this verse and put it from the perspective of me talking to my daughter. For I know the plans I have for my daughter. Plans to prosper her, not to harm her. I want to give her a hope and a future. And that might mean at nighttime when she says, can I have 4 more Oreos and can I stain my iPad? And I'm like, no, because I know that tomorrow she's going to be tired for school, and I also know she's going to have a sugar rush, so she's not going to go to sleep, so she's going to be tired, and then tomorrow's going to be an awful day. And so I can be like, no, and she can be like, well, that's awful, that's punishment, and she can go to bed going, I don't understand. But I know as her mum that I've made the right choice for her. And I think once I had a child, I viewed God so very differently.
Really?
So very differently, because there's nothing I would not do for my daughter. And I didn't have that realization until I'd had her. Like, I would walk through fire for my daughter. Crying. You always make me cry, Ash. I would give my life for my daughter. I'd do anything to protect her and love her. And I think about my all-encompassing love for my daughter, and it's not a patch on the love God has for his children, which is all of us, even the ones who don't know him yet. He has an encompassing, raging, I will die for you, and he did. And then I think about what I would do for her, and I know if I would do that for her, and if I believe God is who he says he is, then I believe God would do that and more for me.
Yeah.
And so having my daughter brought that home to me. And sometimes when I do have to say no to things, and I know she thinks it's awful, and how very much dare I, but I know I'm doing it for the right reasons. That helps me understand in the tough seasons where things don't go my way, I'm not going to rant and rave at God, because I go, well, I know he's a great father and he's got really great plans for me. They're going to give me a great future, and I might think that it's this, and he's like, it's not, but baby girl, hold on, because something great is coming, and I got to work it all out. You've just got to trust the process. And I think having a kid made me understand that so much more. And so when things, because I've had disappointments, like I'm really driven in my career, and sometimes I I've had dreams of being certain things, and if those things haven't panned out, I'm like, why, God, I'm really good. I'm a great broadcaster. I should have a bigger audience. I should be more famous. Like, those really egotistical moments of, this is what I want, God, And God's like, that's not what I have for you, but I've got something better. Now, better doesn't mean bigger. Better just means better and more real and more valuable and more amazing for me. And having a kid really, really, having Shiloh really taught me this, that if I have great plans for her, God's got even better plans for her and for me as well. And that helped me reframe absolutely everything. Because like you, when I was younger, my faith was very, very different. And I hadn't really walked through any trauma or trials or tribulations. It was very easy to go, God is a loving God. Life is great. Life is great.
Yeah.
And then, I hit my 30s and my marriage falls apart and you're like, what is going on? And then there's health troubles, and then I had all these awful surgeries, and I was depressed and I was suicidal, and life just was just the yuck. It was awful. And I was like, what is happening? Because life and my faith had been so simple but very shallow up until that point. And that's when I had to make the decision. What am I going to believe? And is this the plan? And if this is part of the plan, then how can I let go of trying to control it and let God do what he needs to do?
Wow. And I think what you said just then, I think that's what does happen in those hard moments. It goes from being shallow to deeper roots.
Yeah.
And it's like you might step into another difficult season, and yes, it might be hard, and yes, you might have that, spiral season.
Yeah.
But there is nothing that could convince you that God wasn't good or wasn't real.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, you might have a moment of being flustered or, going, God, what have you done? But like maybe I think it was in yesterday's episode, we get back to that point where we go, okay, God, I trust you. And I think you comparing it to being a parent is such a great visual of that. And isn't it amazing that then in the word, that's what God compares him to?
Exactly.
Is a father.
That's right.
And so I don't think it's an accident that those emotions that we feel when we become a parent are similar or replicate that father's love, because I've actually heard so many stories of people who have completely changed their life or come back to God or knew that they needed God the minute they had a baby. Yeah. It's so interesting how it works and how it really does amplify that relationship between us and God.
Such a great physical representation, because as a parent, when you have a kid, you rip your heart out and it's walking around outside your body. That's what Kel says. A kid is like someone's ripped your heart out and they put legs on it and they're like, now watch it walk around, and you're like, but the thing is, God loves us so much more than we can even infinitely imagine. And so if I think I've got the best plans for my daughter, and I do, I want her to thrive, and I want her to find love, and I want her to have a career that makes her happy, and I want her to know that she is enough and worthy, and that God has got her back through it all. I want her to be all the things I'm not, all the things I wasn't. I don't want her to battle with any things I battled with. And if I think I want that for her, then this verse is so true. God has plans to prosper her more than I could even flippin' imagine. And so that's really super comforting. And that's why I think it's the best verse.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I hope that it encouraged you, that it's helped you through, and that it helps to challenge you through the season of life that you're facing, uplift you if you're feeling down. And most of all, I pray that you're able to draw closer and closer to God. I'm so excited to keep diving into the Word of God with you. I pray you're able to find moments of joy.